The time has come for the first time to congratulate Michaela on 100 episodes on the podcast.
Oh, wow. What a great day for that to happen. Cool. I was having a really pissy day, so thank you.
Well, you're 100 in,
Woo.
which makes you only seven less than me.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah, you've been on a long, long time for most of it.
I didn't realize it was only seven less than you. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, because the first season was 7 episodes. And then I went, nah, I can't do it like this anymore. And then went looking for a co
Huh.
host.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, the discrepancy will get smaller and smaller as we go on.
Yeah. Well, at the moment, it stands that you're in 94% of the episodes, 93.7 or 4 something, but whatever. I looked it up just for curiosity. I thought it would be higher, but it wasn't. So, anyway, so
Okay.
now, but it is also time once again to speak as co creators in Magic do. I'm Daniel Dubois.
I'm Michaela Stone, and we are your hosts on your journey into the heart of the primordial.
Welcome to season 9, episode 9.
And episode 100.
Yes, for Michaela. So I can't for the life of me think of the title name. It was supposed to be some word that sounds ridiculous and means the opposite of what it sounds like, or at least doesn't sound like what it means, but I couldn't figure one out. I was going to look
Oh,
one up and then I forgot about it. And
we may come up with it by the end of this. I don't know about you, but I have been having one hell of a time lately, and I keep coming across people that have as well. And
mm,
you know the way, no matter what you do, sometimes you're trying to follow a path and it just isn't yours. And
right,
it just isn't working. And the alternative is not exactly scary, just difficult to perceive accurately because there's like a block in the way. In
right,
this particular case, it's a financial one, right? If I stop doing the thing that's
mm,
been incredibly difficult to do this week,
right,
then that brings its own issues. But
yeah,
it has been the weirdest week because every day I've had mass like significant cancellations,
hmm,
and they've been for bizarre reasons, like absolutely bizarre reasons, and they've been last minute every time. And so it's been literally not only do I not want to do it, but I can't do it because
mm,
people aren't showing up. It has not, this particular thing has nothing to do with magic. It has everything to do with my mundane day job.
mm,
Just in case anybody's wondering.
right. Well, I told Michaela that this was probably going to be a State of the Magic Address episode.
You did.
Yes. And I think it still is going to be that. But what I'm going to say is this. So, the magic I've been doing, right? Like, I don't know if it came across clearly when we were talking before, but I had said, yeah, makes sense with the magic I'm doing, like everything that's happening. And I don't know if you understood it as I'm also having a problem. But what I meant is the magic I'm doing could be contributing to what's happening to you.
That was what I
Uh,
perceived, yes.
okay.
Which is why I
I
said,
wasn't
and
sure.
I'm doing my own stuff.
Yeah.
So, and
Mm,
the clarity work that I did
right.
roughly a year ago, maybe a little longer, um, that is really hitting crescendo point right now. So, caveat emptor, if you decide you want to know something,
Mm,
be really, really sure you want to know that thing and maybe put some limits on how much you want to know or the time frame or something. But consider carefully before you jump in
right.
because the clarity that I'm getting, it's been hovering for like a year, and I see it, and it's
Hmm.
just it's like a portal that you can see it, but it's like, yeah, but it's kind of tough to go through that particular portal. Yes, I know
Yeah.
it's there, but it's tough, and my options are being pulled away all the time. And it's just like, well, you don't think you can, but here, how can you not? Woof. Let's
Well,
pull the carpet
that's
from under you.
great because when you were telling me about it, that was, and this is, and the reason I'm bringing it up on this episode is not to like talk about Michaela's personal stuff or anything like that. It's the that everyone like so like I said, right? There was a first wave, and there was a web made for that first wave. And any magic I did, when I refer to everyone, like everyone is getting this magic. It's whoever was connected to that web, and that was the first wave of people who are going to be doing work for the time that we exist in, or coming up, or you want to look at it. That web is over now. That web got destroyed, but Michaela was part of that web, and there was someone else too part of that web. And then a second web got built, and Michaela was part of that web, and so was the other person. But the people who are part of the second web, there's a lot of very aggressive protection magic and a lot of very aggressive take action magic happening. So the people who are connected to the web this time out, you're going to feel a lot like what Michaela is describing. There's going to be a lot of pressure to move forward. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of fieriness, a lot of, because there's a lot of like, as I see it now, the web is that there's a dragon sitting in the middle of the web. And when I do magic on that web, there's a lot of dragon fire. Even other
Mhm.
dragons come in and push fire onto the web through the strands, to get everyone. So there's a lot of force to move forward. There's a lot of uh, aggressive enlightenment, aggressive motivation coming.
I actually like that. I think aggressive enlightenment is a really it's probably a good title for today because
Right.
that's what I'm feeling is a lot of aggressive enlightenment. It's it's along the lines of you might not, you're standing on a path.
Mm,
You're looking forward at the portal that you're kind of reluctant to go through, but the path you're standing on is disappearing.
yes.
So your options are disappearing with it. And it gets more and more uncomfortable as those options disappear. So that's the best image I can give. And because you are doing your work and
Mm,
I'm doing mine,
right.
combination of that means I've got extra stuff.
Mm,
There's
yeah.
extra stuff going on. And it's just like, wow, a lot, a lot, a lot. And something significant is gonna blow soon. Like it has to, because it cannot be the way it is right now. I am currently in an unsustainable place,
Mm.
and the magic is moving whether I want it to or not.
Well, that's
The
the thing.
things that are in place are rolling whether I want them to or not.
Right. And that's kind of what I wanted. That's what I kind of wanted to address it in this issue, in this episode, because it seemed like, it's something that's really happening and needs to be addressed for people. Like, this is how I was taught. It was like like to follow up with you, I was thinking of the idea of, you see in action movies and that people get on the bridge and the bridge is collapsing behind them, so they have no choice but to go
Yeah.
forward. Yes.
Mhm.
That's how my teaching in spirituality with my trickster teacher was. It was like that's great. You can follow with the bridge, but the path is open ahead of you. I'm not here to stop you from moving forward. In fact, you're moving forward or you drop, kind of a thing.
Yeah, you have some choices, and the
Yeah.
choices aren't really choices, but you still get to decide, I guess. Um, yeah, so it's a thing. And I've also had I mentioned to Danielle earlier
Mm,
this week, there was a psychic attack. Now, if you've
mm,
never had one of those, good for you. I've had them a few times. And this is where you are not dreaming. It is something that occurs when you are not awake, however,
mm.
and you'll know the difference because you're aware of a physical aspect to
Right.
it. And when it's what I experienced this week was kind of heavy and on repeat, and not quite sure where it came from, but I sort of enlisted someone's help
Mm,
to deal with that, and I'm having to put some protections in place,
mm,
which, I've mentioned on here before. If you're going to do magic, put your protections in place.
right.
And even then, sometimes maybe you didn't get exactly what you needed put there. So sometimes you have to be prepared to maybe seek help
Mm,
from someone to deal with it because your energy is depleted when that happens. So you kind of need that jump cable. You need the
mm,
boost.
the
So
boost, yes.
it's been a hell of a week. It's really been quite something. Yeah, a lot is shifting and changing that cannot be unshifted and unchanged. That's the thing. The only way is forward. The bridge on fire is
Mm,
a really
yeah.
good metaphor. Standing on a path, looking at a portal, and the path
Mm,
just falls away, kind of like in an earthquake. Yeah, all of those. So if anybody listening is experiencing something like that in their lives, um, consider what is it telling you? Where
mm.
are you being propelled? And are you ready? And if you're not, what can you do to get ready? Because you're going, whether you want to or not.
Well, that's the thing, right? There's to borrow from Doctor Who, everything is malleable except that there are certain things that have to happen.
Okay. Yeah, borrowing from Doctor Who's pretty good. I'm a fan.
Yeah, it happens one way or it happens another way, but it happens.
Hmm.
It's kind of a you can do it the easy way or the hard way kind of.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have that option right now.
Mm.
It's not so much you can do it the easy way or the hard way. It's more you can do it now or you can do it in a few minutes, but you're doing it.
Yeah, you're doing it
It's
presently. Yeah. Well, that's what, and that was going to be part. That was going to be the thrust of the state of the magic address is that you got to do stuff, and you're going to find out quickly enough that a lot of the things you held dear and still hold dear, like you've probably in your journey, you've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. You've cleaned house. You've looked at, oh, that's I don't know why I keep believing that. I don't know why I keep believing that, and that's all gone away, and you feel good. Well, there's still something anchoring you that's still preventing you from being ahead of this,
mm.
requiring this push in this way.
Actually, I'm glad you said that because the thing that comes up is what are you hanging on to
Yeah.
that needs to be let go of now? And that is, it's going to show up in more than one area. Like you will know that you're in that space when it's happening in all over the place, where there's things where you've got sunk cost, for example, where you've put so much effort, uh, belief, energy, all of those things into a particular
Mm-hmm.
thing. And now you look at it and it's turning to dust. It doesn't matter how hard you try and keep it going, it won't. It can't. Its time is done. And how many places is that happening to you? And it can be things that you've done physically, it can be things that you've done mentally, emotionally. It will be on some or all of those levels. Where is it changing for you that you cannot continue to do that? It will give you a clue for where you're going. But also you have to be able to let go of those things.
Right. Well, and just so you know, it's not just you guys, right? I'm not just sitting here casting spells and going, haha, muhaha, rubbing my hands and stuff. You know,
Wow.
I actually did a severing ritual this morning for myself.
Okay.
It wasn't planned. I just kind of went, took a shower. I'm going to tell you this story, and this is going to show you exactly how, well, maybe unhinged I am. But anyway, so when my connection with my twin flame died or finished, sorry, she wasn't dead yet. She died later. But when it was done, that time was done. It coincided that I was in Hawaii and I had bought a towel, a beach towel. And I've had this beach towel since then, and I've used it like every day. It went with me everywhere. I showered with it all the time, every day. It is now to the point where it was like just using it to dry, it was tearing, right? I had to let it go, but I couldn't get rid of it. I had realized it didn't take me a long time to realize this is a symbol of something, right? And so it's been sticking with me for a long time. And then I thought, okay, I found out my twin flame died. I dealt with it. I did all the stuff, but I couldn't get rid of the towel. The towel still stuck with me. I just couldn't let it go. you know. And then this morning, I took a shower and it was like when I was done, I was like, okay, it's done. We're done. We're over. I'll just buy a bunch of new towels. It's fine. And but until then, I couldn't get rid of it, so I went and I did a ceremony, and in my fashion, I summoned something pretty big to help with the severing, and then it was severed. But what I did too, and this is probably something else to consider, I gifted what I had attached into the towel as a gift to whoever needed it. Not the actual attachment itself, but the lessons that the attachment could give.
Oh, yeah. I like that. I like that. And that is something, when you're getting rid of something, severing something, removing it from you, such as I had to do
Mm,
this week, because of the psychic attacks. You don't just like stop. No, can't have that. No, it needs to be transmuted
right,
to something different, more helpful rather than harmful.
right,
And while one can do return to sender, I prefer to not, unless I know it was intentionally malicious, because
mm,
sometimes those things can happen because somebody's not in control of what they're doing. And so they don't mean harm, they just don't know how to not harm.
right,
And in that case, returning to sender wouldn't do anything good. It wouldn't be useful. It wouldn't be warranted as such. So transmuting it to something more beneficial and sending it on its way is, I find preferable.
right,
That is my choice because I don't have to be concerned then about what I'm returning sender
right,
to exactly. Um, it's not a fear-based decision. It's more of a what is my best course of action in this point? What is the highest and best course of action? And
right,
again, it's not being the bigger person because screw that. Like that's a bullshit tool that people use to, stop you from retaliating when somebody does something. Like that's a whole other podcast episode.
right.
But
Yeah,
it's more in order to also have benefit, what is the most beneficial thing I can do?
right. Well, my reason, part of what came to me when I decided that was a lot of time and energy had been put into this whole period of my life, this era, if you will, of trying to grow and to learn to really understand what I went through and what happened and all the lessons to learn. And that built up a lot of energy. Yes, there was like some negative stuff building in there because I didn't understand, right? And when you don't know and you act in fear, all that kind of wonderful stuff, that builds up
Exactly.
too, right? And
Uh-huh.
that lived in the towel basically. And I don't have space for that anymore. Like
Right,
its time is done. So I had asked the spirit who was doing the severing, could you change this into something someone can use?
right,
Because I don't want because I wanted to honor the memory of everything that happened. I want to honor the connection. I want to honor all the lessons I had learned. So I didn't want this to be a waste. I said, can you do something with it that will be beneficial to someone?
right. And you are someone, so some of that could come your way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but the lesson actually of doing something with it rather than just
Mm,
saying, okay, stop, no more. That applies everywhere in life,
right.
right? If you're a parent raising kids and you tell them to stop doing a particular thing because it's annoying the living blazes out of you, well, not giving them the other thing that you want them to do instead leads to problems
Right.
because they don't have enough information. You haven't equipped them to do a better job. So, that's one area where it shows up in day-to-day
Mm,
life. But it shows up all over the place where if you just try and stop something without doing anything with it, without taking that information and changing it to something, it's going to keep going. It's going to keep giving you the same problem perhaps in different forms because you have not dealt with it yet.
right.
That you see it in patterns, in cycles, right? You haven't dealt with it yet. You haven't done something different. So magic is exactly that way too. If you have something going on and you don't transmute it, then it'll keep going. It has no choice but to keep going. Matter doesn't disappear, energy doesn't disappear.
Right.
It changes form. So, you might want to help it change form to something useful.
Yeah. So yeah, so
You
part
don't
of that,
have to direct it to anyone in particular if you don't
no,
want to, or if you are not sure that your intentions are the best.
right. Yeah. So part of going forward after this state of the magic address is you really have to look at all the things you're holding on to. No, sorry. It's along that still keeping that theme of you didn't like it, but turn it into something that can be used. It's the transmuting your problem into a solution. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Part of it is because there's so many things. Like what's left to get rid of for a lot of people is really deep seated. And
Yes.
I'm going to use this as an example. I don't know if because as of this will be like show up in June this episode, and it's May right now when we're recording, like May 16th, whatever. But there was an
Yep.
interview with Kevin O'Leary and Tucker Carlson, and Kevin O'Leary pretty much revealed just how the hell is that word entitled you get when you're wealthy for a long period of time. Like, remember, Kevin O'Leary is a billionaire. He's run for leadership in Canada. He's like, I don't know. Anyway, it's not so much, but what he said, because Tucker Carlson was discussing, like, well, why should someone get a tax break for starting a data center? And Kevin O'Leary goes, well, because competition, we can go put it somewhere else. And Tucker Carlson was like, yeah, but why do the taxpayers, if this is such a great venture, why does the taxpayer have to pay money? Like, are the people going to get something back from it? And then,
Yeah, pollution.
right. But then Kevin O'Leary said, well, no, the investors will get money back. And I was sitting there going, wait, the taxpayers are investors. They're giving you tax break, which means they're investing in the company. So why don't they get something back?
It's also without choice. No,
Right.
the data centers are a very good example of exactly what is wrong with the system we're living under
Right.
right now. Because you're told you have to have it, you're not given a choice. They select where it goes and who gets to deal with it, and they pollute the air, they
Mm-hmm.
take the water, they take everything that you need to live, and they feed it to a data center, and you're told, shut up and pay for it.
Yeah.
So don't even get me started on that whole thing. That's that's kind of tempting the hex work, honestly. It's
Right.
because the complete disregard for human life in the name of the almighty dollar is staggering. And the what you've just described,
Mm.
like, well, no, the investors get money, but not the taxpayers. This is a caste system
Right.
where the taxpayers are, well, who cares about them? They're just fodder, like whatever, give me your money. Nobody has to care about you, right? Only the people who put in multiple hundreds of thousands or more, those ones are considered more important because they have more
Right.
numbers to move around, which is
Well, I
basically
think
what it is. This is this is showing you very starkly what is wrong with the system.
right because when I was watching the clip, because even Kevin O'Leary had to change his tactic because he realized what he said.
Uh-huh.
Because he said, "Well, don't think about it as a data center. Think about it as a factory instead." And it was like, "No, no, 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 no. People get shit out of a factory. We don't get anything
Uh-huh.
out of a data center." But the
What you're
thing is,
getting
the
out of a
fact,
data center is they are storing all of your information,
right,
is what we're getting.
yeah,
And that's not a good thing either, because it can and will be used against you.
right,
So you're having to pay for something that you cannot choose, and it will be used against you.
right.
Isn't that
But that's the thing.
fascinating? And you're
Yeah,
supposed to be okay with this,
right, exactly. Like he said it as if like, well, yeah, but that's just what happens. Like that's just how it works. The
right?
government gives us tax breaks. The government, gives us incentives to open up here. It's like you're making 50 jobs max. There's no
Yeah,
freaking way any of that is worth it.
and probably more like 10.
Yeah,
No, it's. it is abuse straight up,
Yeah.
and they don't care. They just don't care.
But that's what I mean. So that level, that is a level of a sense of things that didn't even question until, and I don't trust Tucker Carlson as further than I can throw him. I've seen
Oh
him,
no, he's
I've seen him flip his script whenever it suited him. So this whole, caring about what happens to the people thing, that's bullshit. I'm sure it's bullshit like every other thing he's ever put forward. Because I
yep.
remember him when he was supported Trump, and he was not this kind.
Oh, he's exceedingly biased and all about himself, as all of the people who turned coat are. You know,
Right,
the ones who are like, oh no, this is terrible, having pushed for it, voted for it,
right,
and manipulated for it. I'm not buying what you're selling. You just rats leaving the sinking ship. That's what that is.
right.
This
Yeah,
guy, no, he's forked tongue. We
right.
can't trust anything that guy says. But you're right. The Kevin O'Leary is pointing out this is how much we the rich, who are actually we the people, right? That's who
Right.
that means. This is how much we care about
Yeah.
you. You don't even factor, right? You're not even there. So this is something, yeah. There's a lot going on, and we're going to have to decide how to deal with that. How are we going to respond? Just because they don't think you count for anything doesn't mean that it's true. It just
Right.
means that they're not noticing you.
Hmm.
And there's some power in not being noticed. There can be.
Yes. If you know how to
So
take advantage of it. Because we discussed this on the podcast, and that was a good reference back to previous episodes there. That, we were talking about the more people try to centralize power, the more they lose power because you can't control this many people. You can't control this much data. You can't control this much money. Like, you can't. And
not
so,
not when people say no.
right. And that's exactly what I'm saying, right? We might be considered beneath their notice, but you know what? All we got to do is say no. Think about it, because there are data centers being blocked, and like unanimous votes, even in like city councils and stuff, are happening to block
So
them.
think of that movie Ants, right?
Right? Yes.
Yes. And let's not let
James
them
Caan,
all
or
gather
not James Caan,
together.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not let them all get together and, because one by one they don't have any power, but put them together and they could eat us. Yeah. Uh-huh. Eat the rich. There's a whole thing there. The lesson to learn is that don't feel powerless.
Right.
Don't feel stuck and don't feel insignificant whenever you can help it, that is, because, there are days. But
Right.
try to remember then that you are not helpless, insignificant, or, that it's not true that you don't count for something. You do. You are actually the most important person in your life. So, yeah, you do count for something. What are you going to do with that? And that can be magical, that can be mundane, that can be
Mhm.
both. That can be getting together with the group and figuring out how are you going to do things. I
Yeah.
had somebody ask me last week, this week, with all the upheaval going on, are you on a mission or are you starting a movement? And I
Mm.
really thought about that, and my answer was fairly predictably, I suppose, yes, because my mission is to lead a movement. And, my summit will be coming out in June. So Daniel's been very kind about putting that forward for people. And it's which is rage, fury as fuel for aligned action. That is mostly aimed at women because we have an awful lot to deal with right now, but it's not only.
Mm.
It's anybody who is furious at the situation they are uncovering now, what you're living in. You could use that looking at data centers and how they're taking away your life, the
Mm.
clean air, the water. Those data centers are going to trash whatever area they're put in, and nobody even freaking asks you,
Yeah. Well,
right?
and it's even bigger than that because I've been following the story a little bit, and as one guy pointed out, he says they're giving you the acreage for the buildings storing the data centers. They're not giving you all the peripheral buildings. They're not giving you all the, the parking lots, the other storage buildings for equipment, the utility buildings and all that kind of stuff that go with this structure. So you're actually giving out more acreage than just the buildings. The buildings are the number you're given is just a presentation for the actual data center proper, but not everything that goes with it.
And these data centers are not necessary if they don't store all of our information.
Right.
They only need them because of that intent. Other countries don't have data centers all over the place. So this is part of that massive surveillance that they're interested in doing. That they're already working on. They're following people all over the place here. It is 1984.
Mm,
It's wild that this is how it's happening right now, and the data centers are part of that. So even looking at the pollution that they cause, the water that they use, the space they take up, all of those things are bad, but look at why they are
mm,
using them.
yes.
What are they for? Did you say that was okay? Do you have an option to say no, thank you? No, they're going to take every goddamn thing you
Mm,
put on the internet and it is going to be stored in there, and they will figure out ways to
mm,
access all the aspects that they want. So
mm,
even putting this podcast together right now,
mm,
that is something that could be used against us at some point.
mm.
And if we live long enough, maybe it will be.
Yeah.
I'm living in a country right now that is taking away people's rights so fast, and they're using very generic language.
Yes.
There's some stuff coming out this week, who are considered domestic terrorists. Well, if you're
Yeah.
left wing, if you are pro LGBTQIA rights, if you've ever said anything against the current administration. I mean, Stalin would be absolutely clapping his hands saying, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, this is brilliant, guys. You're taking this to the next level. This level of surveillance, this level of threat would make any dictator in history just
Yeah.
gleeful,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to the craziest extremes. For what? What is the end purpose of this? Because the people who are doing it are all old, decrepit white men, and the women with them who think they have proximity to power, meaning they have power. You don't, bitch. But that's who's doing it. They're not going to be alive long enough to benefit. So why are they doing it? That is a big point. And I'm going to let my cat in on that note. I'll be
All
back.
right. All right. So the cat is back in.
I have got to say, Danielle is the most patient podcast host ever, because every week I seem to have stuff going on with beasts that want in, out, fight, argument about the mailman arriving, or whatever. So thank you, Danielle.
Yeah. Well, and you're welcome. But like I said before, like everything is people to me. And
All right.
if the pets need to go out, then you know,
In
then
this case, it
it's
was a roasted cat that needed to get back in, but
right. So to me, I'd rather pause than have a
roasted
cat
cat.
roasting. Yeah, than roasted cat. So not that I've ever tried roasted cat. That's not a disclaimer to either kind of morality. It was just a piece of knowledge.
Okay, just as a sidetrack for a second. I actually met someone from an area in India called Nagaland.
Mm,
Seriously, that's the name of the place. And they do eat cats there. And she informed me that black cats are the tastiest.
no way.
I am not recommending that anybody goes and tries that. And I did tell her that my black cat that was there at the time was not on the table, literally. And I think she was kind of used to hearing that, but she was very genuinely telling me black cats are the
Yeah,
tastiest. So there you go. I'm not sure if the taste quality sort of gets less as the cat gets lighter. I don't know. Anyway,
that's
an
interesting.
aside.
Hmm. But actually, that you brought it up, it is kind of a thing, right? It's like I said, right? Things that need not this necessarily has to be let go for purposes of what's happening right now. But you know, to her, eating cat was perfectly normal. So
That is a good example
yeah,
actually of things that people can let go of are those hard and fast rules
Hmm.
of what is and isn't okay. I've lived in different countries, I've traversed different cultures, and what they consider normal would not
Right.
fly here. But that doesn't mean it's wrong by any means. If you're born and brought up in that environment, then we would be the ones that are weird. They're
Yep.
doing fine because they're doing what they do. And if you think about it, nobody made certain animals for food and certain animals not. It's
Right.
how we chose to see them.
Hmm.
That is a metaphor that you can take forward in so many things. How are you choosing, consciously or unconsciously, to see something as more valuable than another thing?
Yes, that is what the push I'm getting. This is this is the this is what this episode's about. Okay. I got to be magnanimous again. Anyway, yeah, so that's the point of the podcast is or this episode, this whole state of the magic address is the really look at what's holding you back and really look at but like in this sense, right? This vibe of okay, well, you don't like this or the culture you grew up doesn't like it. Okay, well, so what? Is that stopping you from working with a person who is still trying to do the same things as you? Like, are you making enemies out of allies or for
Yeah. And are you putting energy into maintaining those unhelpful beliefs, those
right?
inaccurate beliefs? Because it serves you no benefit, it serves no purpose to put somebody in a category of, well, you do these things that I think are terrible, or you're wrong because X or Y. I love to tell people things that are a little, pokey maybe
Right.
sometimes, like, oh, hey, did you know that steamed snake tastes so nice? It's got a very delicate flavor. And I see these reactions on people's faces like, ugh, how could you do that? Why? How is that different from eating a fish?
Mm,
Really? Like, tell me how one is not okay, but the other is. I don't understand the difference. Particularly as some people are so anti-snake, they will try and run them over, which to me is heinous.
right.
Like,
Might delete them.
why? Leave them alone. They haven't done anything to you, and they wouldn't do anything to you if you didn't try and do something to them. But that whole thought of, ew, how can you eat that? Well, why? You eat this thing that swims around in the ocean and you have no idea where it's been. You
Right.
eat bottom feeding stuff, for God's sakes, with shrimps and lobster and so on. So, if you eat them, how is that an improvement over somebody eating a cat? It isn't unless it's in your mind.
Right.
That's the only place where that is actually a tangible difference, is in your mind. It's how you see it.
Yep.
So that can be applied in the bigger picture. And I saw something I sent to you probably today or yesterday of all the things that you and I love to complain about that some people say, all right, you've got the threefold rule.
Yeah.
You're not a proper witch if you haven't got the
Mm,
tools. Like all this stuff is just that's a belief that you could hold
right.
and it would not serve you at all. It would be extremely limiting. And then that belief is used by people that hold it to bash others, right? Like, oh, if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong. First of all, who gives a shit? And second, you're like, I don't care if you think I'm wrong. You
Mm,
knock yourself out. But also you're limiting yourself. That's the really important thing. Not only are you being obnoxious, but you're limiting yourself. Why? What's the point?
yeah. I was gonna say part of my challenge going forward is letting people do their thing in their time.
Timing can be hard, can't it?
Yeah. Because sometimes I listen to people talk and I'm like, oh my God, you know, let's go. Hurry up, pick up the pace here. You're still keeping their religious thoughts. Let them go. Let them go. Let's go. We've got places to be.
It's, I think when somebody's trying to extricate themselves from a religious net,
Right.
right? You are stuck in the net like the dolphin is stuck in the
Hmm.
fishing net. Trying to get out of that, it can be helpful, I think, to start with really small things. Like, where are you noticing a rule that you have been following that makes no goddamn sense whatsoever, right? There are plenty of them, so pick one. Where are you doing something that you have no evidence for anywhere in your life that it's useful? Can you stop doing that? And then can you find the next thing that you could stop doing? And little bit by little bit, you let go of those rules that have got you in a death grip. And then it becomes a little easier to see more of the facade of that particular religion, whichever one it is. And it really doesn't matter. Pick one. Um, you can see the facade more clearly, and it becomes a little easier to find the doorway out. And a podcast episode I recorded the other
Mm.
day, the woman I was talking to is ex-Mormon. And one of the things she said was, you'll know if you've been in a cult or not by how
Yes.
they treat you when you leave.
Right.
And I think that was a really salient point because how many places give you the dire warnings, the threats? They may even send people who you used to be close to come and bring you back, right? Like,
Yep.
no, no, I'm so afraid for your soul. You're going to go to hell if you don't come back, and why have you left us? Everybody out there is going to hell, and we're the only ones going to heaven, etc., etc.
Hmm.
And you can see that so much more clearly if you've already started working on releasing what doesn't work for you. And
Yep.
I'm not saying that only for Mormons, I'm saying that for any religion whatsoever.
Hmm.
Anybody that's got a rule book that keeps you small is a problem. By
Yes.
definition, that is a problem.
Yeah, it's funny because I was listening to it because I already actually edited that episode for you.
Oh, thank you.
I had time, so I ran it while I was doing stuff and I was listening. So it made me think of those things. But shit, no, there was a reason behind this, and now I can't find it. Disappeared.
It'll come back.
Yeah, it's like right here somewhere. You can't see my hand, but I'm like about a foot and a half away from my head, and it's like floating somewhere in the ether, and I can't grab it. But yeah, like there's uh there's things holding people back right now, and that's why there's a greater push
Hmm.
going on. And the more pressure you're going to feel is because there's that something or some things. It's probably even right now, it's probably just one or two things that are keeping you going to the next thing. But there's
Think
things that are deep and you might not even be thinking about.
Think of Gulliver's Travels,
Mm,
right? When he wakes up and he's got all they've been working so hard to pin him down and to tie him
mhm.
down, and all he has to do is sit up.
Yep.
And all those little ropes and things go fling. And it's kind of like that. Another example, because I am a very visual person, in case somebody hasn't got that yet. Um, there's this meme that goes around now and then with a horse tethered to a plastic chair.
Yes.
And the only reason that works is because the horse expects it to. And that, my friends, is the lesson. It only
Hmm.
works because you expect it to, because you accept that it does. It's like if you look at how politics are going in the US right now, what you're basically seeing is that until recently, well, until 2016
Mm,
maybe, um, everybody followed the rules. They might fight over them, but
mm.
they followed the rules. And then somebody stepped in and said, nah, I'm not doing it that way. And you know what? The rules only work if everybody agrees.
Yep.
As soon as people don't agree and take that lesson as the biggest thing, as soon as people don't agree, it's not true anymore.
Yep.
So that goes for your powerlessness as well. As soon as you don't agree, it doesn't exist anymore. You can now behave differently. You can move on from that space.
Hmm.
It's like when women don't accept that they have a subservient role to men. Guess what? That's not a thing anymore, even though there are those men who will try to push for it. Because of course they will. They're terrified of not having it. Why? Because that's how they've been raised. Okay, and then you got this manosphere, which is like a self-perpetuating cesspit, and people are coming out of that with the most cockamamie ideas I've ever come across, and they can't hear themselves clearly. But if women agreed to that, their behavior would be very different. But when
Mm,
you don't agree to it, you do things like I'm doing right now and call bullshit.
mm. But it's a good example, right? Because like essentially, I think it all but came out as a thing in the manosphere of liking women is gay, basically.
Right?
Like this came the ultimate conclusion.
It's
I'm
it,
like,
it's
if you
utterly
can't see how
bizarre.
wrong that is, you
It's
know?
utterly bizarre.
Yeah.
Women are only for having babies with. Well, where are you going to be? And if you dislike women so much, why do you want to be intimate with one? Like your gaydar's showing. But
Yeah.
this whole thing
You're
is
pinging on the
utterly
gaydar.
nuts. It's nuts. And like, where was your mother? Was she that bad? Collectively, all of you had mothers that were that awful? I can't believe it was that bad for everybody. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. So, what is this toxic fragility going on where women have to be completely subservient or it's not acceptable? You're like a goddamn data center.
Mm,
Like, quit it. You're not sucking everybody else dry just because somebody said you should be there. No.
right. And that's going, yeah.
Told
The,
you I
the
was
me
feeling feisty today, right?
yeah, the message that keeps coming up over and over again, yeah, Shiz, is that
Cheers.
it's something you really have to let go of, and it's something really deep. And yeah, like I said, you may not recognize it right away. Like the whole idea of someone who will gloss over the idea of if you like women, you're gay, that idea, and you still can't figure out you're being scammed. It's like, okay, come on, you know?
But there is a sort of stop long enough to take a look
Yeah,
at where you are and what you are perpetuating. Just stop for a minute and have a look. Are you really in the space you want to be in? Because, you know, I'm not going to cast judgment on you simply because I don't want to put my energy there, right? You sort yourself out. But are you really in the place that makes sense? Is it beneficial? Are you going to go anywhere with this? Because if, Manosphere being an example, where's that going to end up except a bunch of guys in their mother's basements wearing sunglasses on, a video ranting about women and
yeah,
gays? Like, why are you spending all your time on this? You could go out and get a real job. Or,
yeah.
you could go out and get some fresh air and get a freaking brain cell working. There's a lot of options there. And if you're gay, okay, just, that's fine. That's
Mm,
you. Go do your thing. Like, stop
yeah.
yelling at women for it. It's women didn't do that to you. It's like this is just how you are, so chill. It's fine.
Well, because it brings an interesting irony that happens. Like for a while, I kind of started looking into it. Like when I was 19 years old, I had to do an English competency exam, and they gave us a bunch of topics. And so I did a piece that was pro gay marriage when I was 19. Right? I said, like, if you're actually going to spend the time in a relationship and put the effort in, why don't you get the benefits for it? Like, I don't care if you're like whatever. It's not my relationship. I don't have to kiss you and have sex with you, you know. So you put the effort in, you should get the reward for it. That's fine. Like, I don't care. But and then I thought, well, okay, that's interesting. And then as the arguments for gay marriage came up, I'm like, okay, let's look into it. And then I'd hear, activists get really, really feisty, if you will, to turn down the noise, which I'm like, maybe you should stop because you're going to push it for something that you're not going to like and you may not like the consequences, and you're kind of, oof. And then it kind of led me to there's a lot of gay people in the closet who are bashing other gay people, like, I mean, who are leading the violence against gay people. And then
Yes,
you're blaming the straight people. And it's like, but it's you guys doing it to yourselves because you're so afraid of being found out that you're now doing the violence that you were afraid was going to happen.
but this is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
This is misogynists are that it's the whole toxic, fragile masculinity, right? They're probably closet gay. And if they're not closet gay, they have other hangups that they need to deal with. Look at Nick Fuentes, for example. Oh, come on. Tell me the
Yeah,
dude's not gay and I want some like how? Yes, he is. And yet people listen to the stuff he says. Why? Because he has a microphone? Like that's like saying it's on the internet, it must be true. For
yes,
fuck's sake, if that's what you're thinking, then you really need to just go and like sit in the garden and not trouble anybody because your brain ain't functioning. Like that's obviously it's not true. So, we live surrounded by this stuff right now.
right,
And there's so much noise and there's so much energy being expended in incorrect anger, meaning it is being directed to the wrong things. It's been directed to people who do you no harm. They're not, you're not getting anything beneficial out of your ire. You're
right.
just like making other people suffer. Well,
Yep.
that's it. That's what you want to do. So you get to your last day on this earth. You have the opportunity to look back over your life and you say, wow, that was a life well lived. I was such an asshole. It was great. I made so many people suffer.
Yeah,
Really? That's it? You want to take that with you to your Akashic records and say, here's what I did with my time on the planet? Wow.
yeah,
You might want to rethink that. Holy damn.
yeah. So for magic specifically, let's review the basics for a second. This will all tie in. So when it comes to magic, right? This is a cooperation between you and I was opting to trying to change the name instead of just calling everything spirits. Like I don't know what else to call them, but because
Entity?
entities, whatever.
Your chosen
So
entity, your chosen deity?
right. So they're the ones who do the thing, but you're the one who powers the thing, right? So the healthier you are, the clearer your intentions are, the clearer you can have your connection, the easier the energy flows between, and you can connect with spirits who want to do the same thing you want to do. I had a pretty big discussion with my mother. She was kind of getting frustrated with the whole idea of doing magic, and then I said, well, and I gave her an example, right? Because one of my nephews was like wanted to start a cleaning company, a car cleaning company, car detailing, and I said, think about this, right? Because she always says she wants to win a lot of money so she can help everyone. I said, look at it this way from a magical perspective, right? There's already spirits working with him. Okay. So they want to work with him, do whatever he needs to do. So there's a spirit that has a motivation. And it's a motivation similar to yours because one of the people you want to help is, of course, your grandson, right? So if you're practicing your magic and you become aware and able to communicate with spirits, the spirit's going to go, oh shit, you can hear me. You know what? We can do something we can collaborate on a project and help him out. And then maybe, right? Because like the market I'm in, no one wants to spend a lot of money on cleaning a car, especially not in this economy, right? Like if you can get someone to clean it for $10, you're gonna go $10, and they're using the cheap stuff versus my nephew likes to buy the high end stuff, right? So he has to charge more naturally, right? But there is still, like every place, there's always buried money. There's always people who collect cars. There's always people with money to spend. I said, you get in a position to talk to someone who's in that area, and the spirit goes, you know what? I just need you to be my mouthpiece. I'll tell you what to say to the guy so you can help. And when I kind of broke it down that way and actually gave practical steps, she went, oh, that's what magic is good for. I said, yes, it's a collaboration. You and the spirit want to do something. Your desires meet. You act as the not the person granted the permission to work in the material world, and you provide the energy for it, and then they do the thing that's necessary, provide the information, manipulate what streams need to be manipulated, and that's magic in a nutshell. Now I don't know if I made that easier, more complicated, but whatever.
It's a perspective.
Yeah,
It's a perspective because, I do things a little differently to the way you do them,
right,
but we're moving in a similar direction, even if our paths are sometimes divergent and sometimes
right,
they meet, and that's the whole deal, right? Unlike a religion, you don't have to be all following exactly the same footsteps.
right,
That's what I say pretty much every episode. There is no rule book.
right,
It works the way it works the way you work. Get your milk carton and
mm,
your straw and call it
yeah,
good, right? Or call it God, whatever you want to call it. But that's in a nutshell, if you let go of the things that suck your energy, those beliefs
Mm.
that you're putting energy into, scrolling social media is going to be one of those things where you just get angry about things because
Right.
what? That's an injustice. What? This happened. And then worse, you read the comments. Like, I strongly recommend
Mm.
don't get sucked into the comments because that is going to drain your energy like somebody
Mm.
stuck a giant straw in you and sucked hard. Um, and then what have you done with your time? What have you done with your energy? What have you done with your day? You only have so much energy. Just think you're running a marathon, right? When you're out of energy, you're done. You don't have any
Hmm.
more energy, right? You can't just will some more there.
Yeah.
You have to be able to train it, focus it, use it at the right time in the
Hmm.
right way in order to get where you're going. So if you're letting assholes in the comments
Mm.
suck all your energy away, you're not going to be able to do the stuff that you could do, magically speaking, or otherwise.
Right.
Right? You're just not going to have the engine that it takes to get there. And that's kind of sad.
Right. I'm kind of actually glad you brought up the idea of comment sections because one of the things I find interesting is I'll go into the comment sections and I'll listen and I'll look at people's arguments and I'm like, wow, like you just want to be right. And I don't mean they necessarily were trying to be jerks, but you can see they're stuck on the idea of being right, that they didn't even give their own argument a lot of thought.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this, it's been in the news a lot in the last sort of 24 hours about this young trans woman that was
Right.
stabbed 40 times. And in the comments for that, I fully confess,
Mm.
I went there, right? Because I was actually going to leave a comment. And I saw all kinds of things in there that were enraging and so bigoted and just like, oh my God, I could have absolutely dove into that deep well and, spent an awful lot of energy fighting and yelling and all the rest of it. And I realized what was happening, and I was like, okay, I have to get out of this because
Mm.
my voice in this space isn't going to do anything useful. And I'm going
Well,
to lose an awful lot of energy
right.
smacking people upside the head verbally for being jerks, right? And worse. Um, so that's the kind of thing where you can get sucked in and you're going to be exhausted at the end of it. What have you
Yeah.
got left to do anything useful with?
Yeah. And I'm probably lowballing this, but and what is it like 64% of the internet is dead? It's just bots,
Mm.
anyways, responding and making comments.
Right. There's a lot of that too. And and you can tell, like, especially if you go to something like Threads,
Yeah.
they
Well,
have bots that keep things
I was
going. Got to
and I was
say,
gonna
the
say I'm
comments on
hoping they're
Threads can be,
bots at this point.
one does hope, but I got to say, sometimes the comment section can be absolutely hilarious.
Well,
Largely because people are really savage on Threads.
yeah,
Like, they're brutal, man. And if you want a little of that for a few minutes, time yourself. Put a timer on and get
yeah,
out of there after 10 minutes. Otherwise, it too will suck you down and your energy will be gone.
yeah. But it's interesting. It's because like people like, I'll go on like I still get a lot of sci-fi stuff in that, and it's like, and I'll hear people argue in the comment. I'll look at people arguing in the comment section. I'm like, okay, you guys both need to go study some science before you continue this discussion because you guys don't understand things like inertia and stuff.
There's a lot of absolute
Yeah,
ignorance that goes floating out there. But the thing is, that's the stuff that sucks your energy.
yeah,
It's exactly that. And if you are right and you're quote unquote proving them wrong,
mm,
then what?
yeah, exactly.
Did that go anywhere? Did that do anything useful? Do you think that bot is even looking at your comment? Or even if it's a person, they're just doing it to wind you up. They're
Yeah,
not. Remember that people who put controversial comments down that, a trans person's just been killed.
mm,
40 stab wounds, and you're going to say they deserved it, they probably tried something on, or whatever, you're going to say something like that.
mm,
Is there anything in that comment that is truthful, helpful? Is it instructional? Do the think thing. Is it
Yeah.
necessary? Is it kind? No, it's none of those things. Is there any benefit to having that opinion expressed? None. Does it change something for somebody? No. And if it did, it would be a very weak-minded person that would be changed by that. So, what's the point in arguing? Why,
Yeah.
why are you getting in there with this bottomless pit of stupidity? It's probably a bot. And even if it isn't, that is not a place to waste your energy.
Yeah. Even if you think it'll change, sometimes you really got to be careful.
It
Like,
won't though. It
I
won't though,
know
because
that's
everybody's talking to be heard,
mhm.
that they are not listening.
This is why I
So
have a
these are not
podcast.
discussions.
This is why I have a podcast.
Uh-huh. But these are not discussions in those comments. These are
Right.
just yelling.
Part of me having a podcast is me going, you know what? I can't go into these comment sections and make comments. It's not helping. It's not doing anything. Screw it. If I have something to say, I'm just gonna have a podcast.
Right. A kiddo that I work with, he talks a lot and doesn't listen.
Hmm.
So what I've instituted a couple of weeks ago was a talking stick.
Right.
So he can only talk about things when he's holding the talking stick. Now, that may sound draconian, but this kid talks nonstop, doesn't listen to the answers to the myriad questions that are
Hmm.
asked. And so there's no progress being made when this person can't hear you.
Right.
So there's like a turn taking, and the turn taking works better with a physical
Oh
item
yeah.
that you can use. It could be anything, it could be a rock. It happens to be a stick, but talking stick. And that's the kind of thing that if you in the comments, if you could have a talking stick and have people listen, that would be phenomenal. But most people don't listen. They only wait to reply.
Right. And I'm gonna
And
throw this
that's
in
in a
there.
conversation, right?
I'm gonna throw this in there, and my family
Go
can do
for
with
it.
it however they'd like. I don't ever propose the idea of a talking stick or a talking rock in my family because at some point a rock's gonna get thrown or someone's gonna get hit with the stick.
Well, with this kiddo and the person that works with him, they both
Yeah.
need the talking stick. That's that's all I'm saying. And it wouldn't be one I use everywhere, but the point is some people need one of those just so they can stop long enough to listen. People don't listen, and they might hear a couple of key words and then they've already got their answer formulating.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, did you hear the rest of what I just said? Because that piece was important too. It all kind of went with the first bit, but no, because you're running off putting an answer out there, and it's like that's particularly when you've got a solution-oriented person, often male, but not exclusively so. You have a solution-oriented person in front of you. As soon as they hear something that can slot into the
Mm,
problem section, whether it does or not, it could, they are working on a solution. There
right.
is no malintent here, but the point is what you were just trying to express was not received. It didn't get there because that person is telling you how to do things differently before you finish saying what you're saying, and you might not actually want to do things differently. So that's another thing where's your energy going? Like just really look at that and kind of
Mm,
make an inventory for yourself of, am I putting it out there in solutions for people that don't want them? Am I giving advice where it wasn't asked for? Am
mm,
I responding to dumbass comments, trying to knock some sense into them? You
yeah.
know, all of those are leaks. All of those are energy leaks. And I'm not saying I have it perfectly by any means, but
Mm,
I catch myself as often as possible.
yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. I'm not mocking Michaela there. Yeah, yeah, a few times.
Uh-huh.
I'm actually having another thread going on in my head there that I'm trying to figure out if it wants to come in or not. Actually, I'm starting to beat a dead horse here with the repetition of you just got to go into yourself and find out those last hooks that are keeping you. And those last hooks can be things. I know I used the word already, but like things you don't even consider. And you bring up the point of right solving. Like as a guy, like because I've always looked into this my whole life. Because when you have a trickster teacher, you question so many things. Because if you don't, you get pulled into things, and it's like, oh my God, how did I fall for this stupid thing? And one of the things is we all know, we all have our moments where we just want to vent. We all have our moments where we want solutions, you know. And so thinking, oh well, you're a guy, you're going to do it this way, or you're a girl, you're going to do it this way. It's like no, just listen and look for the cues with that particular person when they're just venting and when they want a solution, and don't worry about what everyone else is doing.
How about
Yeah,
here's a novel thing, ask.
yeah,
Are you venting or do you want a solution? The sanctuary, which is
mm-hmm.
this space that I'm creating for women to come
Right,
and just speak. The whole thing with the sanctuary is it's not recorded. It's no note takers allowed. None of that. This
yeah,
is not for the internet. And it is so that women who are going to get uncomfortable with this, let me say, are
mm-hmm.
going to talk about whatever it is that's up and active for them. And then nobody, including me, is going to
Right,
give a solution. Nobody is going to tell them how to see it differently or to think about it differently. Nope.
right,
Everybody gets to sit with it and process. And, the next person can talk, of course. And if you don't want to talk, you don't have to. But the point
right,
is, this is a no solution zone because we are all so inundated with either the need to offer a solution because there's an uncomfortable gap, or you just don't want that person to feel that
mm,
way, so you try and give a solution, right? So that
right,
is the work for that person. And then the person who's putting the issue or the item, whatever it is, out there, they get to sit with it, which is probably the first
yep,
time they've gotten to do that.
mm-hmm.
Because we all jump in on each other's shit and try and solve it.
Yes,
You learn to do this. You were taught this as a kid, right? You fall over, scrape your knee. Oh no, don't cry, don't cry. Here, have a cookie, right? Like the cookie's got jack to do with shit, but you get the cookie so that you're distracted and oh, yum, 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 sugar, fat, all the rest of it. And I'm going to eat this. And you stop crying. The other person now feels better because you're not crying, right? You learn this as a little kid. Crying, feed me. Or
yeah,
crying, bad idea, need to do something else as a substitute. Solutions start right there. And like I said, it's not only men that offer solutions,
right,
although men do tend to feel more compelled to do
mm,
so. But women will often want to do that as well, or potentially more egregious, jump in and tell you how to feel okay about it. And this is definitely a woman's part in the patriarchy that she's self-perpetuating, is this whole thing of, oh, well, it's not that bad. I mean, just look at
mm,
it this way and then it won't seem so hard, right? It's like, actually, screw you, because I'm in this right now and I'm not going to go where you want me to be so that you can be comfortable. So that whole thing with the sanctuary is
mm,
like, it's going to be a new experience because those things aren't going to happen. They're not going to be allowed to happen, and they will
mm,
they will be, let's hit pause and not talk about that right now because that is their experience and we're leaving them with it. Are you ready to talk about your experience? No? Okay, next person.
right.
But
That's a good idea.
we're not going to have a problem solving circle here. This is not it.
Right. I like that.
Right? It's
Yeah,
it's a radical thing because every single person there is going to be experiencing something that is new and uncomfortable.
yeah,
Damn. That's why it's only going to be once every 3 weeks. I think it'll take all that time to recover.
yeah,
But it's important stuff because you don't realize how much you try and solve every day for every person you meet. Oh, you're having trouble
mm,
with that? Here, let me help you. Oh, let me fix that. Oh, you think that? Look, if you think about it this way, it'll be okay. If I could count how many people have told me that I should be really happy with my day job and
mm,
all the reasons why I should be really happy with it and how I can look at it so that I like it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Not only have I gone up the hill of overwhelm and burnout. I've gone over the goddamn hill, rolled down it, and I'm currently, gathering moss. Like, no, I am beyond burnt out with it. There is no salvation for this. There is no fix of feel this way about it and it'll be fine. No, no, no. This is not a thing. And yet people feel compelled to tell me how I can be okay with it. And it's like, you are not hearing me. That is that experience, and human beings need to be seen,
Mhm.
heard, and validated.
Yes.
And nothing tells you you're not being heard like somebody who is not accepting of what you've just said.
Yeah.
How many times do we do that to each other? All the time. All the goddamn time, everybody does it. Male,
Yeah.
female, child. We learn it very early and we learn it well.
Yeah. It's yeah, I'll say it. I think sometimes this is the unfortunate part of being normal.
Normal.
No, no, I'm not saying we're normal, but I'm saying like as someone who's went through an abnormal life, I learned a lot of these lessons really young, because I'm like, well, okay, this is how I feel in this situation. I wonder how the other person would feel in this situation. Because like a lot of the stuff I went through, there was no solution. No one could offer me a solution for it. So I just wanted to be heard, right? So then I started doing that for other people, because you do the things for other people that you didn't get for yourself, right? So me too. I'm not beyond that. So then I started doing that for people, and I thought, well, yeah, that gets me more results than doing it the other way, right? Like, and telling people what they need to do. But I think when you can succeed normally through the normal methods, you don't learn all these deep lessons.
It's also, if you, yeah, I guess if you're feeling, if you have ever felt unheard, like in
Hmm.
a deep, profound way, you are trying to communicate something that is important to you. And it doesn't matter who you tell it to, they're not listening, they're trying to solve. Then that experience is so alienating that either you think it's all about you and, why does nobody listen to me? Boo hoo, this is terrible. Or you sort of go into the broader experience and say, hot damn, this has to be a horrible experience for anybody that has this,
Right.
which is probably all of us at some point, right? So how can I learn not to do that? Because I don't want to receive it, I don't want to give it.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw this out there, and people can do with this information what they want. But it's
Always.
yeah, there's a debate that goes on every once in a while in between what's the difference between a hero and a villain. And then usually the conclusion that people come to is that the hero went through something really bad and said, I don't want anyone else to go through that, so I'm going to do what I can to help. And the villain goes, I went through something really shitty, and now it's everyone else's problem.
That's a pretty good, yeah. Uh-huh.
Because like you'll get
Rather cynically, I was
right,
thinking whoever writes the history
yeah,
gets to decide who that is, but that's on a bigger picture.
yeah. I meant more literary
Personally, yeah.
than historical, but it
But
applies to
yeah,
real life, right? Because you see it with people, right? Like I had just said, right? Like if you don't get something in your life, then you try to give it to other people because you think, oh, they must be missing it too, which can
mhm.
also be a very big error because sometimes that's where parenting goes wrong because you figure I didn't get this as a kid, so I'm going to give it to you, and the kid has no idea of all the stuff you went through around it, so they're like, okay, I guess that's what happens, and then they
Right.
seem
And that can be so interesting because with the parenting thing,
right.
people tend to go all the other way, right? Like the extreme of the other way. So you never had a teddy bear, now you're going to buy your kid 300 teddy bears.
Yeah.
You couldn't get toys you wanted, now you'll get them anything. So you were raised in
Hmm.
lack in that area and you have created a monster with too much because
Right.
I used to know this person who would yell at her kid. She had a rough upbringing herself,
Mm-hmm.
like she had a tough, tough time. And never would I lessen that. It's like she really had a bitch of a
Mm-hmm.
time. But she would yell at her kid. You have no idea how lucky you are. You have no idea how easy it is for you. And when I could get a word in,
Mm-hmm.
I would jump in with my different perspective and say,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's the point. You don't want him to know how it was for you. That's why he does it. How are you expecting him to know it? You haven't
Right.
shown it. And she'd just get more mad at me, right? Which is predictable, but I kind of felt it needed to be pointed out because the kid couldn't do it for himself. And it was unfair, right? She's
Right.
getting mad at him for being ungrateful or something when she has perpetuated that. So you can't yell at him for being how you've taught him to be,
Yeah.
right? Like that's not really fair. So I did, and that's the thing is different things can prompt you to want to jump in and problem solve. Like for me, if I see an injustice,
Hmm.
that's like red rag to a bull, man. I want to get in there and fix that. I do not like injustice at all. It's even in my human design. Like I cannot
Right.
handle injustice quietly. I'm going to make a fuss about that. Other things I can kind of see them and be uncomfortable, but let them go. So that's my Achilles heel, if you will. Everybody has something that's going to poke them in the activation button and say, fix this. And it could be that, I was bullied as a kid, therefore I can't see anybody else be bullied. Or, what is the thing that comes up? Have a look at it and see if you can catch yourself. Is what you're doing necessary? Maybe, sometimes maybe.
Yeah.
I still feel that telling my friend, it's not his fault, leave him alone kind of thing. I still think that was the right thing to do because he couldn't do it for himself. He had no
Well,
idea why she was mad at him, right? He had
yeah.
no idea what he'd done wrong.
When it
And
comes to kids, I think it's a good idea to kind of say something if you know how the parents react. Like,
well, it's like if you see something that is so egregiously
yeah,
incorrect, which that was, this kid could never win
right.
from this argument, from this perspective that she had that he was an ungrateful brat because da 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 da. She made him so that he did not experience the things she experienced. So
Yeah.
she got her wish, but she wasn't happy with the outcome. And it's like you can't blame him for that, right? You did it. So you can either work on undoing it, you can change direction, or you can understand that it ain't his fault. Don't yell at him,
Hmm.
right? Like he didn't do that, you did. So that's that self-responsibility thing, right? This is leaping to generations, to the topic of generations.
Right.
Every generation looks to the next generation to fix all the shit that they broke themselves, and then doesn't give them the tools to do it with. In fact, will kick him in the kneecaps and take away the tools whenever possible, and then blame that generation for not having fixed things, right?
Yeah.
Every generation does it. And if you look at who's causing the most harm in the planet right now, they are all boomers. All of them. They're all boomers. And if ever there was a generation that had no right to do that whatsoever, it would be the boomers. They were not great parents. So, that personal opinion, absolutely. But Gen X came from somewhere. And you know where Gen X came from? It came from boomers.
Yeah.
So, and what is Gen X famous for? The forgotten generation.
The slacker
People that
generation, the
raised
never amount to anything generation.
the generation that raised themselves
Yeah.
because nobody else gave a shit, etc., etc. And who did that? The boomers. So, but who do they blame? The boomers will blame everybody else.
Mm.
Look at you millennials with your avocado toast. Look at you
Your
Gen Xers
participation
with
trophies. Yeah.
yeah. And like Gen X has created those millennials with the participation trophies.
Well, and that's the thing,
Why?
right?
Because Gen X never got
Yeah.
noticed, let alone anything else. So when you have a kid, you're like, oh, I don't want you to feel like nobody's noticed you or that you're missing out because I know what that feels like. Here, have a participation trophy.
Right.
So Gen X did that as
Mm.
a knee-jerk response to boomers ignoring your very existence until the lights go out, and then you better be home and you get an ass whooping.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, right? The because I had noticed it because I had jumped into that generational game too, and then I thought, wait, hold on a second here, hold
Mhm.
on, and I had said this before, right? Because I was having this discussion was with Patrick when Patrick was younger, and he had asked, what's the worst thing? What did he say? yeah, what's the worst thing about my generation? I said, well, you guys are pretty sensitive. And he goes, oh, what's the worst thing about your generation? And then I was like, there's a lot, man. There's a lot. Give me a minute to think about it. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to tell you what the worst thing about my generation is that we made your generation too sensitive. We
Boom.
did that to
There
you.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That is exactly it.
Yeah.
So instead of getting into the whole generation blame game,
Right.
it would be so much better for everybody if the generations could acknowledge their role in what came next and how
Right.
people are operating with it. And then, if you can repair something that was incorrect, or if you can
Mm.
ease it in some way, do so. And if you can't, at least don't stick the boot in
Yeah.
because you're the one that put it there,
Right.
right? So, my kids will tell you about participation
Mm.
trophies. And I have already apologized to them more than once for that because they both absolutely hate anything that smacks of participation trophies,
Right.
right? They hate it, hate it, hate it.
Mm.
And I'm like, I was just trying to have you feel seen and
Mm.
acknowledged. And that was me projecting onto you. That's my bad, right? Because that's what we do. Each generation projects onto the next one. And that's why
Yeah.
they're so sensitive. That's why the avocado toast and the cappuccinos and all the nice things. Because what did we get? Fucking hose pipe and drink the water out of that. And if there's cobwebs on it, move them out of the way before you drink. Like
I will
that's
offer this, right? We got a free herbalism lessons.
we got a lot of free lessons that left their mark.
Like
But
how many types of stuff growing in your lawn did you eat?
well, dandelions are pretty good.
I said I still eat
Um,
dandelions. I was actually just talking to my cousin lives across the street, and we were talking, and I said, yeah, I says like this time of the year is when I eat a lot of dandelions before the lawnmowers come out and all that kind of stuff. This is before all the gas, and I don't need the ones in the front yard because the car's going by and the exhaust. I need the ones in the backyard. So, but once lawn mowing, like cutting lawn starts happening stuff like that, I don't eat them anymore. But I remember as a kid, one of the things is learning about what you can eat in your lawn, the different types of
yeah,
grasses and stuff that you
and
could eat.
going off into the woods and getting fiddleheads and
Yep.
stuff. But and you learn that, at least in the UK, I learned that
Mm,
wherever nettles grow, there are dock leaves next to
mm,
them. So if you
mm,
happen to fall into the nettles because you fell off
mm,
your bike or whatever, you grab the dock leaves
mm,
that are right next to them and you rub yourself with those because that will take away the sting. You don't
yeah.
actually run home screaming to mom that something hurt because nobody's there for a kickoff. And
Well,
they'll just boot you out the house again if they are. So you
mm,
just got to fix yourself, right? But when you grow up with that, you don't want that for your own kids. You're not going to treat them that way because you know how that felt. So you do the opposite. And this is every
hmm
generation does this. And then you've got the tools that are available. So right now, Gen Alpha are raised on iPads, phones,
mm,
screens. They don't know how to interact the way older generations grew up interacting. Then you throw COVID pandemic into the middle of
mm,
all of that, and they had a complete lack of socialization other than whatever was on screen.
yep.
This is the generation that is going to be in charge of things soon. So, y'all, the boomers are bad enough, and God knows they really are. But I think what we got coming is going to be even more heartless because they're not learning how to have heart.
Right.
They're not learning that. It's not part of the
Well,
Supreme deal.
there is countercultures growing where people are going back to buying iPods, trying to find iPods instead of like iPhones and anything
Okay, but
pre-internet
that's not
connected.
how they're being raised.
No, it's not
They're
how it's
being
being raised, but there's a
raised.
counterculture coming out that's going back to, even getting like old landlines and stuff like that.
Fascinating.
Mm,
Well, if that can mitigate some of the damage, that'd be great. But we have issues from that. And I mean, we totally
mm,
got sidetracked on this one. But again, it's where is our responsibility versus where do we put it? Because
yeah,
typically generations blame the next generation. It's
yeah.
like, no, 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 you should be apologizing.
Mm,
Like, hey, millennials, we told you that if you worked hard and went to school, you could get a good job and then you could buy a house and da da da. And guess what we gave them? We gave them a planet where nobody gives a shit if you've got a degree. Nobody's going to give you a job unless you fit a certain criteria that you may or may not fit, right? And depending on the country you're in, it might be good to be gay. It might be definitely to
Yeah.
be right. It might be good to be white, and it might be really bad to be white. It just
Mm,
depends on views on DEI, right?
mm.
Like there's all these things. You have no control over any of that, and that's what we gave them.
Yeah.
Way to go, right? Like I don't know who
Well,
feels proud about that, but that ain't me.
because I'll say like Gen X, depending on when you were born, a lot of the things that are being complained about now by the younger generations, we started seeing. So it started showing up in our generation, but it hadn't shown up enough to be the everybody's experience.
Like what?
Uh, like I before I graduated, like I was born in 71. And when I was graduating high school, some of the advice we were getting is like, pick a course because you're probably gonna have like five different careers anyways. So whatever you start with doesn't matter. That kind of thing. Like I graduated into, and here in Canada, I graduated into a recession. So
Right.
so I was already seeing what like the millennials are talking about and what Gen Z is talking about, not to the degree that they're seeing it, but I, given my life circumstances, I know what they're talking about because my particular life grew into that.
Yeah. The thing is, there's a
Mm.
more sense of
Yeah.
permanence about it right now.
Yeah.
Like it's always going to be that way. And they have no experience of it ever being any different,
Right.
nor is there a time recently where you could say it was different. It's been
Yeah.
shit for a few decades now, a couple of decades at the very least. So you've got kids. The thing is, we can't keep blaming them,
Right.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Like,
and that's
and
that's
that's a missed
a
opportunity.
misuse. That's a
Yeah.
misuse of everybody's focus.
Right. And that ties back to, the things you have to let go of. Because that's a
Mhm.
big one for older generations to newer generations. Because you see newer generations doing things, you're like, what the hell sense does that make? I don't know. You're the one who taught them, you
Right.
know? Like,
Well, also, what did you expect them to fix what you screwed up?
yeah.
You don't give them the tools, and then you kick them in the kneecaps when they try. And you're rude about it to no
Mm.
end. And you pick a thing about that generation that you're gonna take the P for, right?
Right.
Like the millennials and their avocado toast and so
Mm.
on. I don't know. Did you introduce them to avocado toast?
Yeah.
I know I tried to feed my kids the best food I could. I didn't let them go and figure it out for themselves.
Yeah.
It depends on how you were raised. Like I was the original latchkey kid, I would say.
Yeah.
And I was actually left to my own plus my brother, who was 2 years
Mm.
older than me. So a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old were
Mm.
left all day, every day, no babysitter. So we would have like sugar sandwiches at lunchtime
Yeah.
because that's what we could make, right?
Yeah.
And I know I'm starting to sound like Monty Python with the whole "you were lucky," but that was the reality, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, if you have kids and that's what you grew up with, and you can see it clearly now, you bet your ass you're going to introduce them to avocado toast. Of course you
Hmm.
are.
Well, that's the thing, right? Um, a lot of the things, like I think Occupy Wall Street, right? One of the bigger things for the millennials. And of all the fighting, there was like, why don't you take a job at McDonald's if you don't have a good job? It's like, because we told them McDonald's is a stupid job and never take it. That's beneath you.
And in the US, one
Yeah.
of the things, whenever you say, hey, why don't we raise the minimum wage so that somebody doesn't
Hmm.
have to work 4 jobs to survive? And, well, if they're only flipping burgers, you shouldn't be paying for that. So you tell them to go get the job flipping burgers, but then
Hmm.
we're not going to give you a living
Yep.
wage because you're only flipping burgers, which means the person who's preparing your food doesn't count.
Right.
That alone needs to be looked at, right? Either stop buying the burgers because you don't value any part of that process, right? And if you show that to the person getting your food ready, you might just get your burger spit on, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But that's another thing too. But just think about that. You pay more respect to the shoe salesperson
Mm,
going to give you your Air Nikes or whatever,
yeah.
than your Air Jordans, than you do to the person who's feeding you
Yep.
food.
Yep.
So we're so screwed up. And I think coming back to the original point
Hmm.
ages ago of be aware. Like, where are you doing that? Where are you buying into that narrative
Yeah.
and getting pulled in the wrong direction? Because if you value shoes over food, then that I'm interested in where your priorities are in life. Because you're valuing something that's temporary and external over the thing that keeps you alive.
Yep.
No wonder we have data centers.
Yeah. All you gotta do is look at how people are paid. The more valuable the work for the most part, or the more everyday valuable the work is, the more you can't do without that service, the lower you get paid.
Yes. I mean, look at the pay for nurses, the pay for teachers. I
Hmm.
mean, in the US, the pay for teachers is the most egregious thing I think I've come across.
Oh,
Teachers, not only do they get paid barely enough to survive on it, in fact, the town I live in, the teachers have second jobs. And
ooh,
it is not uncommon to see a teacher that was teaching your kid in elementary school working at McDonald's or
mm,
Walmart afterwards. They're doing two jobs because teachers don't get paid enough. And then on top of that, the teachers have to buy the school supplies.
yeah, that makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense to anybody except this system that perpetuates that. But
Right.
can you imagine companies like Walmart, who are famous for gouging every penny they can out of people
Mm,
while telling them that they're giving them a good deal? You know, those guys, they have special discounts for teachers. Aren't we amazing? You can buy all the stuff for your class at this discounted rate.
mm.
Why are teachers buying for the kids that they teach? That's like, I can't even imagine a comparison that I'm a nurse. I'm going to go buy all the
Mm.
syringes and I'm going to go buy all the meds and
Yeah.
I'm going to go like, no, I got I'm not. It's just this is our kids' education.
Yep.
And then you wonder why, when you ask Americans to find Canada on a map, they mix it up with Mexico
Yep.
or freaking Guatemala because they don't have teachers of any level for any length of time that can afford to be teachers.
That's right. So to borrow a, well, it's probably cliche by now, anyways, but system ain't broke. It's working exactly the way it's supposed to.
Yep, yep. Let's produce dumber and dumber people, and by God, they're successful.
There's
Yep.
actually you can find a number of videos on YouTube about why that's happening or why actually the most interesting title I came across is why stupid people are needed.
Oh, they're absolutely needed. You can direct them easily. You can make them do things that nobody else wants to do. You've got your willing fodder for the cannons, so to speak. You know, put them in the army, put them in the fields.
Yeah.
Hey, we've deported everybody that was picking your vegetables, so we got to reproduce. All
Yeah.
right, we got to
Well,
put more people there.
just for things to, that you may not be thinking about, think about this. This is how we buy into things. If you want to solve that problem of illegal immigrants working, go after the people hiring them. That'll stop it right there.
Yeah, or make them legal.
Yes, or make them legal. But I mean,
Yes,
just
of
on the
course.
basics, if you're not looking to bring them in and make them citizens, then penalize the people bringing them in.
Right? And don't do it yourself because an awful lot of the big money people, it's exactly what they do.
Yeah.
And they should also be penalizing people who have them do work and then call ICE on them
Yeah.
so that they don't have to pay. You know,
Mind you,
that's
though, that's a
something
punishment on
happening,
its own for living in that head, living in that mind.
right? But people have done it and people
Oh,
continue to do
yeah.
it, and it's like, that's the lowest level. Like, I don't know if there's a lower level than that, and I don't want to know. Because if you can be nastier than that, I do not want to know what that is. But don't come talking to me about black magic when you've got
Mm,
people walking around
right.
like that.
Yeah.
That to me is worse than anything anybody with black magic's going to do.
Yep.
That may be a controversial statement in itself, but I'm going to leave it where it went because I think that is an intentional mindset that you knew what that outcome was going to be, and you went for it because you thought that was desirable. Damn.
Mm.
Like, wow. How low do you gotta go to be like that? And you're right, waking up with that head every day,
Yeah,
oof. I do not want to be that person at the end of my life looking back and saying, well, that's what I did.
yeah. But I mean, even just
Uh-huh.
the amount of problems you cause yourself, because you're causing yourself problems like that you don't have to have.
Well, for somebody with that kind of mindset, I'm going to say probably don't do magic because there's a whole load of things waiting for you um, that you've set up yourself,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. On the other hand, if I'm being unkind, I'm going to say go for it.
Well, I was gonna say because I've
On
had
the
those
other
moments where like, no,
hand,
no, you do it.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there are a whole lot of consequences just hovering out there waiting for you.
Actually, yeah,
So,
that's actually steps into my final message of because now is about destruction and you're gonna feel compelled to do destruction. Just remember some of the things you're gonna destroy are gonna be your own.
and some of them should be.
Yeah.
That was where we started at the
Yeah.
beginning of this episode, is like find those places where your opinions,
Hmm.
your ideas, your values, your attitudes, where are they stuck? Those could be quote unquote destroyed, right? Pulled apart, separated, dismantled. Destruction doesn't have to be violent. It just has to stop that thing from continuing
Right.
how it continues. It's up to you how rough it gets.
Right. Hence why love is the destroyer.
Right.
Might as well refer back to a few other episodes. Why not?
I think we've arrived at that place.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think we're good. I think that was the final thing I had to say
Mhm.
on that matter. So
He is Danielle Dubois.
yeah, she's Michaela Gaffin Stone, episode 100
Woohoo!
for her.
Hail the conquering hero.
Yep. All right. So, you know what you got to do? Destruction's coming. You're destroying stuff. Know that some of the stuff destroyed is going to be yours. So just remember that.
Okay.
Until next time.
À la prochaine.